good evening, aspirants. So first, I will request all the doctors to switch on their video. Since everyone is here, we should commence our today's session. That is Masterclass of EDIC Part 1. First of all, happy Doctors Day to all the doctors who are the healers, caregivers, and friends. Thank you for always putting your patients first. You make a difference in the lives of so many people. You are truly appreciated. Thank you all. And hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. First, I'd like to welcome all. We have a lot to cover today, so we really should begin. And our first speech would be by Dr. Dhruva Chaudhary. Sir.
Good evening. Nevertheless, thank you, Asif and the team, for giving me an opportunity. And happy Doctors' Day to all of you, and happy caring and healing also. I think that's important. All of you have decided to be an intensivist. And my advice to all of you will be work hard, work with a passion, but at the same time, enjoy your work. And it is very important when you're doing in critical care to be compassionate, have empathy not only to the patient but to the families, because it's a question of life and death. Therefore, my suggestion to all of you is whatever you do, do it and make it a success out of it. But success always don't monitor in terms of money. Success has a different meaning. But if you ask me, for me, the success is making friends and moving ahead in the social life, moving against the adversities, and then creating your own niche value within the specialty. I think that's what you need to look. All of you are unique. God has made all of you unique. All of you are different. But all of you are together sitting here with the common interest of intensive care. And in our country, as well as in the other places from where you are, be the flag bearer of it and ensure that the quality is maintained, and also realize it. Today we realize less is more. As youngsters, we are attracted towards it. We need to know the different techniques, skills. We not only need to be skillful, but at the same time, we need to be excellent diagnosticians, and we need to be a great communicator. I think that's the key message I would like to give it to you. And when I say make friends, networking is as important.
Sir, few
Right
words
there.
regarding the
So,
preparation. Sir, few words regarding the preparation.
sitting there, but unfortunately, with this, Asif, all the best to you and your team. You people have been doing a wonderful work, and all the best to the people who have joined it. I simply say God bless you all and have a happy Doctors' Day again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much, sir, for your lovely speech. Thank you. Our next faculty would be Dr. Rahul Pandit.
Good evening, everyone, and a very happy Doctors' Day to all of you. And Dr. Asif and team, thank you very much for organizing this preparatory course for EDIC 1. I think as we progress on to our career as intensivist, we all need to start understanding that knowledge is so immense that it cannot be gathered within 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's a learning process, continuous learning process. And EDIC specifically, and I'm going to focus just on the preparatory part for you. EDIC specifically actually has questions based in such a way that they will test the depth as well as the breadth of your knowledge. And that's what's very important to understand, that it's not just about MCQs and multiple choice questions being formulated into a learning process, but it's actually understanding what the question is. What is the buzzword in that question? Reading the question very well and then answering it. There is, as far as I know, and as far as we all strive as examiners, as teachers who have formulated questions, and as students who, when we were learning, we all feel that there is a trick question in there. There is something to trick us out. Trust me, the examiners actually strive not to make a question look like a trick question. They make it sure that that question has got a reasonably clear thought process, and then the answers which are given along with that as multiple choices will also have a very clear understanding that will make you make the appropriate choice correctly. I would also like to say that just reading one book is never enough. You need to have a very clear understanding of what the bedside knowledge is, and take a lot of hard takes a lot of hard work at bedside to actually observe your seniors, observe your colleagues, and understand what their thought process is, and then you can relate them into a question. And of course, nothing substitutes you from reading. And I think any book which you choose, there are good intensive care textbooks. Any book which you choose, make sure that you understand the subject in depth, and then keep up with the times. Make sure that you have at least an understanding of the last 4 to 5 years of practice changing papers. Definitely those papers which have showed a benefit, which is what I call as practice changing papers, or papers which have actually shown a harm. Those things you should know very, very clearly. Thank you very much and all the best. And thank you, Dr. Asif, for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Our next
Sir,
faculty.
Any specific book you will suggest?
Look, I am Australian trained, so I always start with the O's manual. That's a very good manual to start with. It is not very big, not huge. At the same time, the language is simple. And I think if you can go through the O's manual once at least during your preparation, and then you can pick and choose a few topics from different books, is what I would suggest them to do. But that's just me. I don't think anybody can say that one particular book is the only one which is the book to be used. Everybody will have to have their own understanding, but O's is a very good startup, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next faculty would be Dr. Abdul Samad Ansari, sir.
Thank you for inviting me over here. First of all, I wish you all happy Doctor's Day. And thank you, Dr. Asif, and congratulations once more for the new responsibility that you have been, entrusted with the Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine. And I must congratulate you and your entire team for organizing this amazing preparatory program for all those budding intensivists and established intensivists alike who would want to take this pathway to better their understanding about the subject, at the same time getting a better qualification and maybe honing up their skills. So as previously everybody said, and Dr. Rahul very clearly mentioned that it's more about knowing the concept. And the part one, as we all know, of the diploma exam would be based upon theory and 100 MCQ questions, which are, both types of definitive answer. At the same time, there would be kind of all or none, kind of multiple choice questions. The important thing is that every question trunk will have 4 to 5 stems, and it will be basically, designed to test your understanding, both broad as well as in depth. So this is important that any topic that you pick up, whether you are reading from O's manual or any of the ESICM study material available, or one of these learning platforms of which FIRST Academy has kind of established now as a good learning, platform for EDIC training and EDIC questions and other online supplementary material, or even a reading book. Important point is, what are the take-home pointers? For example, I would be talking about nutrition and obstetric emergencies, as they are the domain areas provided to me. In nutrition and obstetric emergencies, I will try to give, in the limited time allotted to me, to give you a basic idea of the subject knowledge. At the same time, give you some kind of example questions, which can kind of make you aware about how the questions may come from your chosen subject area. And both nutrition and obstetric emergencies are very straightforward areas. And you will have a good chance of scoring marks in these two domains, in my opinion, because there is not much of complexity and ambiguity. There are clearly laid down guidelines, but in general, the questions can sometimes be tricky, especially two options can have very, very similar kind of, what is called statement, which may sometimes become tricky, and it is important for you to stick to the basics and make certain notes on every domain area, which you can revise before your theory exam. So with this, I would thank all of you. Happy Doctor's Day to all. And I must congratulate you on taking this step forward towards EDIC preparedness. Thank you, Asif.
Thank you, Ansari bhai. You are always very energetic and enthusiastic.
Our
you.
next faculty would be Dr. Jaiprakash.
Thank you for giving me opportunity here. Yeah, first of all, I would like to say happy doctors to all. And one more thing, because most of the thing Dr. Dhruv Chaudhary sir, Rahul sir already said that the basic thing about the part 1 and part 2, that is different. Part 1, EDIC part 1 is the test of your knowledge, and part 2 is the whatever what you are observing your day-to-day practice, according you have to proceed. So one more thing I would like to say, that be in touch with the multiple choice question for part 1 especially, because whenever you will be in touch with that, because you have to manage the time also. And for my suggestion, that theory paper, it's okay, home medicine, yeah, it's good. But one more thing I would like to say, that one more book, that Stephen Lovaz, that is also better, because you will get around 1,000 sets of question. So, and one or two more I have sets of the questions. So I feel that I will just give it to Dr. Asif Iqbal, because he's doing well and he's very popular also. So be in touch with him, and definitely all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Our next faculty would be Dr. Swarna Deepak.
Namaste, everyone. First of all, I think Asif bhai, thank you for the opportunity, and it's good to see the seniors, Dhruv sir, Rahul sir, Ansari sir, and Jaiprakash bhai. So I was asked to basically talk to you about how we should start the EDIC 1 approach. As I think already you know, you have 2 exams. First thing in my experience is, in my personal experience and both the experience from my friends and the students, you need to first decide you need to have a conviction that you are giving the exam with the best possible attempt. Okay. And you need to have a specific time frame in your mind. It should not be like an indefinite attempt where I'll try once and again, if not, then I'll again write. It should not be like that. Because it's an expensive exam, and it is also an easy exam which you can clear easily. If at all, if you're preparing well for your Indian exam, it's always easy for you. So 2 or 3 things I'll tell you. Always try to not to jump into the exam without having adequate experience in the intensive care unit. You are expected to at least work for an year or maybe 1.5 years before actually start thinking about EDIC 1. Okay, so ideal time is in the maybe after writing your IDCCM exam, or maybe when you are preparing for the IFCCM exam, or maybe in the second year of your DM or DRNB. So the timing is first important thing. Second thing is, once you decided that you are going to give an EDIC exam, be assured that it is a very good exam. You know the benefits of it, obviously, because it's when unlike the previous old days when we need to give an MRCP, now EDIC is also an entrance for the United Kingdom, and you can actually have a very well recognition in your society. So now that you know that it's a good exam, and it can be cleared easily if you have a structured approach. Second thing is, you need to know how to book the slot. I'm sure that most of you know how to book the slot, but if they are first timers, always try to keep in mind what are the dates of opening, because as you know, the dates will run very fastly, and once you start booking, so it will be very difficult once there will be congestion of the websites and all. So try to have a mentor with you. Try to book the slot as easily as possible, and try to have a credit card in your hand, because they usually accept the credit card. Subsequently, once you book the slot, then what you need to do is you need to basically have a good preparation in your mind. Before you actually start preparing yourself, you need to have the material what you need to prepare. Maybe you need to have a personal mentor. Like I think Asif Bhai's course is one of the course which has a very well recognized course. So one of the mentorship you should have, which is always very good for you. Second thing is, you need to know which books to read and which not to read. So you have plenty of textbooks, plenty of lengthy courses where you can actually spend so much time. But I would always suggest you, if you are at the second year of your DRNB or a DM course and at the end of IDCCM, you should not read too much large textbooks for this exam. As I think the seniors have told you, OS is one of the starting points, a brief one, but it is reasonably good. Second thing is you need to develop a habit of practicing the MCQs as your practice goes. For example, you have an ARDS case. Try to solve all the MCQs about the ARDS case. When you have the ARD, when the patient with ARDS in your unit, try to discuss with your seniors who already cleared the EDIC, so that you will know how they examined the things. You understood the point, right? So it should be a journey for you rather than just a crash course in the end, where you just mug up the things. Second thing is you need to understand the exam pattern. You have A type questions and K type questions, both of them. So you need to have a separate approach for them. So if I am correct, I think there is no negative marking, but I think answering true or falses, multiple truths or multiple falses is a different one. So you need, once you practice in the mock exams, like in these courses, you'll develop a hang of it. Second thing is straight set questions like A questions, which you directly test your subject, and always develop a habit of writing the formulas like A gradients, Cockcroft-Galtic, multiple equations you will be having in intensive care practice. Always try to jot down in a small notebook with you. Keep on revising them when you are having any small period in between in your practice, and always create a group of your peers. So, for example, one of your friend works in another hospital, he is preparing for EDIC. At the same time, you are preparing. So, try to develop a small group where you will be sharing the materials among both of you, which is very useful. And try to talk to the seniors who immediately cleared the EDIC rather than the persons who cleared EDIC long back, because they know understand the exam pattern much better. And once you start preparing the exam, try to give as many mocks as possible. Try to clear off all the questions at least 1 month before. The core, you should never have a doubt in the core concept. You can always have a doubt when you are mugging up the formulas, which is understandable, but core concept, you should be very clear. Okay. And if I'm correct, most of these European exams are very well structured. They want to test your core concept, and they'll test you whether you have a good, are you a safe intensivist or not for the patient. And briefly, once you prepare it and once you actually have a confidence, once you've done the mock test, then just to have a zone in your mind, you need to go into an exam zone just 1 or 2 days before your exam. Okay. And try to not develop too many things. Try to don't mug up your mind with too many complicated things. So develop a very simple mind on the day of the exam. And on the day before that, you need to test your laptop or desktop. One practical thing which I've seen in my students, so they sit in their home. Sometimes the internet is weak. So you need, obviously the EDIC people, they'll test it before. I think if I'm correct, they'll have a testing mechanism where they'll test your internet. They'll test your device, whether it supports and all of it. But after that, don't change your device. Okay. If you develop the desktop, try to use the desktop and try to actually practice on it more and more. And on the day of the exam, you are not permitted to leave the exam hall like before the camera. So try to develop that stamina also. Daily, at least 20 to 30 minutes of exercise you need to do, so that your body develops that fitness and you can hold the 3 hours of exam. And ultimately, I think as every one of you, it depends on your exam training. So nothing much from my side. I think Asif Bhai's course is an excellent one. I think you learn as the time progresses.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you, Asif Bhai.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Now, aspirants, if you have any queries till now, you can just communicate. So our next faculty is Dr. Deepak Gupta.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Yeah, first I would like to thank Dr. Asif for inviting me for this EDIC introductory course. And on this auspicious occasion of Doctor's Day, happy Doctor's Day to everyone. I would not like to speak much already. Most of the things have been explained by our quite seniors, Dr. Dhruv, Dr. Pandit, everybody. Few practical points I want to discuss with all the participants is, see, already told that EDIC 1 is actually a very detailed. You need a depth knowledge of each and every topic. don't go into the clinical parts. Clinical parts will be covered in EDIC 2. They need the depth knowledge of each and every topic. So it's totally about the hard work. What I say to my students is, EDIC 1 is not about your talent. It's about your hard work. The more time you spend with the books, the more MCQs you solve, you'll succeed definitely. First thing, hard work is very, very important. It is passing EDIC 1 is directly proportional to the time you have spent with your books. I say this. Okay, it is different for EDIC part 2, but part 1 definitely you need a lot of hard work. And second thing is, most of the students I have seen EDIC 1, they feel that it is like any other exam, and just reading the books, they can just pass out. They do the self-study. One more problem with self-study is, if you don't know the proper pattern, if you don't know the MCQs, many of them fail because of that. So I think joining a good preparatory course like Dr. Asif's course is a very well-structured course. So much eminent faculty are there. They share their experiences. So that would help you a lot in passing through this. Even if you have the knowledge, you don't know the exact pattern, you don't know the how to come out of it, then it would be a disaster, because these are costly exams. You all know it's such a huge cost factor, physical toll it takes. Always you should try to pass out in first attempt, give the full effort, and joining a good academy will help you pass through the pattern and everything. This is the second thing. One thing other I wanted to share with the students regarding the how to prepare for it. I would suggest not to go for reading the theory part very much. What the students do is Irvin Rippe and those, and start from the day one reading each and every chapter and most of the things. If you want to pass an MCQ exam, you should practice MCQs. The more MCQs you practice, the more thorough you become with the MCQs. That is a very, very important part. Like I say, like the cricketers, if you want to pass a test match, you have to practice a test match. You cannot practice T20. That is the thing. MCQs exams is not a theory exam. You have to practice the MCQs. With the MCQs, I would suggest like a topic of GBS is there. The first MCQ is GBS. You go retrogradely, you go and read this. That would be a suggestion. Many of them pass with this. Everyone has their own pattern. This. And the last thing is regarding the study material. Someone was asking regarding study material. MCQs, lots of things are available during the complete course. Will be guiding you for the academia's eminent faculties who have passed this, and they will tell you which books you can read, which sites we will give you the links, and that we will guide you completely throughout the course of this thing. ESICM itself has given, when you access the education section in ESICM, once you are registered, you are a member of ESICM, they have given some modules. Previously, they were called packed modules. Now they are in the form of ACE modules. Around 50 modules are there of each topic. It's very difficult to read each and every topic completely because they are vast. But one thing I would suggest is, after each module, they have given some MCQs. In some, there are 5 MCQs, 10 MCQs with explanation by ESICM. They are very, very good. And you should actually access that, and you should read that MCQs, because that is given by the ESICM and ESIC exam. So few of the MCQs can come in the exam as it is, or they prepare your topic very nicely. Rest, I think most of the faculties, seniors, they have guided you. And best of luck, everybody, for this exam. Your hard work is important, and you'll definitely be able to pass. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Our next faculty would be Dr. Gunadhar Parikh.
But I'll definitely like to talk something regarding this exam. This course is basically, this EDIC is one of the unique course, and with First Academy, I think this is definitely, you are going to definitely crack this exam. because the structure and patterns what they have devised is quite similar to the EDIC part 1 and part 2. So as already most of them have spoken regarding the EDIC part 1 and part 2. So EDIC part 1 is basically MCQ based. So A type and K type. In A type you have only one questions. K type you have multiple answers maybe there. And it is very important that you should study retrogradely, the first thing. And the second thing is it is the not only the knowledge but the application of knowledge is very important, and your core competency. So these are the two things. So you need not read detail every subject, but you should at least have a core concept, good knowledge about physiology and good knowledge about the application of the subject and how you can interpret it. And there will be some database or data sets which you need to remember, and that is going to help you. Some numbers which you are going to remember, some percentile, some percentage, some studies, the bottom line of some of the studies, the inferences they may ask you, that we need to remember. And of course, some of the recent evidences that they used to put here, that you need to thorough about the recent advances. So in this way, you have to cater to every, you can say every chapter and every topic, more or less, and you have to give stress to some of the topics where mostly the questions will be more like questions on hemodynamics, questions on ventilation, and some clinical questions on acute kidney injuries, and in some aspect of like infectious diseases, neuromuscular conditions. So there you have to little bit thorough, and always refer to the ESICM manual model also, like just my previous speaker told, that those will be very important guidance. And always practice. The crux lies in the success. The more you practice, if you solve 10 questions, the chances of getting one question will be very less. But if you practice 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh questions, the chances of getting almost 100 questions are more. So that is the reason, the more and more you practice from a subject, the better you will be, and the chances of getting scoring is will be better. And it is actually part 1 is easy to clear. Part 2 is difficult to crack, because part 2 is little analytical and little clinical oriented. Whereas part 1 is MCQ based, and the questions are pertinent to various specific areas only, which mostly the ESICM focused on. So this module, I'm sure the most of the good eminent faculties, they keep in all these things in mind, and they will just guide you, and it will solve. It will actually lead you to a good guidance and good hold over the exams pattern, and make you confident. That is the main purpose. So in this way, you have to take this opportunity, and you have to enroll early, and you have to start reading as per the guidance of all the eminent faculties who are here. So that is what from my side, and all the best. And hope to show you soon in our this EDIC 1 preparatory course. Thank you, Dr. Asif and team, and thank you all the my co-colleague. Thanks.
Thank you, Gunadhar. Thank you for well suggestion given to our students.
So our next speaker would be Dr. Nitin Jain.
Good evening, everyone. I think most of the speakers have given you some orientation. I will be just giving you a brief PPT, not a detailed PPT, but just about how this exam pattern is and what all you need to study. Yeah. So, Dr. Asif, shall I go ahead?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. So, first is why this EDIC exam is important and what benefit does it give to us. I know there is a lot of students are giving it, but the advantage of giving this exam is that after 2015, EDIC degree makes you eligible for a GMC registration, and you can practice in UK or Europe based on this GMC registration. So these are the dates of the exam, and 2023 is fully booked. 2024, the exam is going to be in April, and applications will usually open 3 to 4 months before the exam. Now, what are the eligibility criteria? MBBS intern with 2-year experience in ICU. That is one of the criteria, and you should have completed a national training program either in anesthesia, internal medicine, general surgery, emergency, or critical care. Now, a common question which is asked is, can MBBS write an EDIC exam? Yes, if you have worked in ICU for 18 to 24 months. So that is why CT/CCM candidates, post-MRChem candidates, and post-MRCP candidates can write this exam. they need to attach an experience letter with the application, and you can also write a mail to ESICM regarding your eligibility. So ESICM members, they get a discount on the exam fees, and it is always preferable to become a ESICM member if you're planning to give this exam, because they give a lot of study material, educational material, and this basically helps you in the exam preparation as well. Now, is taking this membership mandatory? I will say no, it is not mandatory, but your course fees becomes higher, and if you take the membership, it is you get more study material, as well as, I will say, a discounted fees on the EDIC, plus an access to intensive care general for 1 year, and an access to PACT program, which Dr. Deepak told is now an ACE program. And this program, I will say, is one of the important keys for cracking this exam, because there are a lot of important concepts in this program. Now, optimal time, how much time should you study? I will say 3 to 4 months. Now, optimal time to usually when do you give? So DRNB, DN students will say mid-second year, they should give this, attempt this part 1. Post IDCCM, post IFCCM, or at least after 1.5 years of experience, it's desirable to, I will say, attempt EDIC 1, this exam. Okay, so this all information is there on the ESICM website. You can go through it. So there are 100 questions, 3 hours, and they will ask you on entire spectrum of intensive care: physiology, pathophysiology, diagnostic data, toxicology, organ function, replacement strategies, ethics. They will be asking you the questions. So this is, I will say, one of the breakups, how they percentage breakup of the questions, how they tend to ask. Cardiovascular is one of the more important topics. They will always ask you a lot of questions on cardiology. Organ system support 30%, practical procedures 10%, patient general care 10%. So this is how the marking is. And usually you will find 60 to 70% questions each year are new, but 25 to 30% questions are actually old questions which serve as anchoring questions. And the same pattern is in, I will say, part 2 as well. So if you, at least through your students, have an access to old exam questions, it is very helpful. And I think here the training institutes like FORCE Academy helps you, because they have access to that database of old students who recollect these questions, and which will help you in the overall things. So you have 2 types of questions, type A and type K. And in type A, it is 1 single best answer among 5. In type K, it is 3 out of, it is a multiple correct answers. So they say if you do 3 correct out of 4, you will get 1 point. You will get 0.5 points. And if you do all correct, it is 1 point for all 4 correct answers. So half correction, well, I will say if you do only 3 out of 4, you get only half a point. But the good part is there is no negative. So I always say attempt all the questions. It is always better. Okay. So now these are the books which we usually recommend. Normally we say 3 months of study, regular studies needed. FORCE Academy notes, mock MCQs will be helpful. Steve Bennington, this is one of the most important books to study. There is an old edition and there is a new edition. Both of them should be studied, and I always say do 3 revisions of this book, because it's a very, very good book for EDIC Part 1. Then there is a critical care MCQ by Stephen Lobar, and there is a PACT study material. Always focus on high yield evidence-based concepts and do MCQ retrograde, as Dr. Deepak and Dr. Gunnar has already told. And you can always underline the concepts and make notes, and then keep on doing revision of these notes, because they will always ask you questions from the same concept. You can refer to the ESICM website for all the details. Just before I end, some tips and tricks. You should try to solve maximum MCQs, and you should focus on in-depth knowledge of the concepts asked. There are some websites, Go the Extra Mile, Life in the Fast Lane, Crit IQ. They are very helpful. And if possible, always try to study in a group of 2 to 3 people. They will always, a good discussion will always make you remember for a longer period of time. So as I told, cardiology. Yeah. Is somebody saying something, Dr. Asif? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So cardiology is important. You have questions on ECG interpretation, echo, hemodynamics, static versus dynamic variables, PA catheters, PICO, EV1000 values interpretation, acute coronary syndrome, decompensated heart failure, post-op management of post-surgical patients, toxicology, poisonings, PCM, amitriptyline, calcium channel blockers. So these are the common topics which are asked. Yeah. Uh, so I think this is just to summarize the overall how this exam pattern is, and any questions you want to ask, you can ask. I saw in the chat box, a lot of students were asking what are the study materials. I have given you some study materials at least.
I think you can continue. No question is there.
Thank you all, and I conclude. Thank you, Dr. Asif.
So our next faculty is Dr. Subhadip Sen.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm Dr. Subhadip Sen. So I currently work as a kind of consultant in critical care department in Apollo Hospital. So what I can tell you, I can share you my experience or my journey of clearing ADIC in 2015. So one important aspect, probably most of you are doing some amount of course at this moment of time, like either you will be doing some DNB course or ITCCM course, or you are enrolled in MD or in DM critical care course. So what first thing that we would suggest that if you are pursuing one, if you are enrolled in particular course of critical care, then clearance of the ADIC or chance of clearing the ADIC becomes highest when you are already pursuing one course. That is most important thing, because you are already in the process of studying. Clearing ADIC after 2 years of clearing ITCCM or 2 years of DNB becomes a little difficult, because you become detached to a study. And ADIC is one European course where you require a very in-depth knowledge of the core critical care concepts. And it doesn't not only require the critical care concepts, it also requires the application of your knowledge in the critical care. Whatever you do in a day-to-day basis, that helps. Both in ADIC part 1 and part 2, especially the part 2, your application of knowledge gets tested a lot. But in part 1, as my previous speaker, Dr. Nitin, has already said very beautifully, he told the entire process of entire curriculum of the ADIC preparation and entire pro forma of the exam patterns. So it is basically an MCQ-based pattern. Somebody who are doing ITCCM, they will be exposed to all the MCQs. They usually do a lot of MCQs. So nowadays, if you say that the ITCCM questions patterns is also kind of more ADIC style questions. So it requires a lot of knowledge, and doing MCQ is very, very important for the success. And not only the MCQs, your concept regarding a particular subject should be very clear. Like suppose you are dealing with some amount of topic of hemodynamics, like it is very important that your concept about the hemodynamics, various hemodynamics assessment needs to be very clear. Just 1 minute. So, but most importantly, it is important you do a lot of MCQs. But at the same point of time, you should read a good textbook also. I hope this Forge Academy is one of the very good platform to give you a right direction in the entire journey of your ADIC preparation, both in ADIC 1 and ADIC 2. We'll be there. Probably we'll meet you again. Probably subsequently in our courses. And it is very important to be thorough in your entire preparation. It usually takes at least 2-3 months of good preparation for clearing ADIC 1, and for ADIC 2 also it requires almost same amount of time. ADIC 2 is more practical and orientation, practical application based thing. But for ADIC 1, you should require a good 2 to 3 months of good preparation and good MCQ based preparation. with a knowledge of the over the subjects as well. So with this thing, probably I will not take much time, and I'll wish you all the very best for your subsequent EDIC exams. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Our next faculty would be Dr. Manmohan Bose.
Good evening, all. I'm Dr. Manmohan. I'm consultant intensivist at AHRC Hospital, Ranchi. I finished my EDIC 1 in July 2021, and back to back, I cleared my EDIC 2 as well in November 2021, actually. So as we went through all the lectures, whatever the faculties have discussed till now, the more important is starting early. Okay. What I suggest, starting early for EDIC 1, because it covers a huge theory base. Okay. So you need to create a strong base for all the important systems, whether it is cardio, respiratory, pulmonology, or renal, or neuro, or hemodynamic monitoring. We don't give weightage to hemodynamic monitoring, but that is one of the favorite topic for EDIC 1. In the last session, there were multiple questions on CRRT and ECMO also. So previously, the favorite topic was hemodynamic monitoring. Multiple ways they used to give the data and ask what is your diagnosis, how will you interpret, and all that. But in the last session, what I came to know, what was the feedback for the last session, which happened in the April 23, there were multiple questions on CRRT and ECMO, and people, those who were not doing ECMO or CRRT, they literally face difficulty to clear the exam. So I would suggest you to prepare that part as well. Though you are not, there are so many topics which we are actually not practicing in our current practice, but it is important for EDIC 1. So clearing an exam is very important, though even if you are not practicing. So for that, you need to prepare the theory part. So what I was saying, the first and foremost, starting early for this exam, starting early and starting it right. So where to start, how to start, what to read, this is where the picture. The EDIC Academy is they give you the map for the preparation for the exam for next 3 months, because maximum those who are attending this workshop today, many of them are practicing intensively, so they might not have adequate time to prepare. They might be facing a trouble what to read, how to read, where to start, how much time we need to spend on particular system. That's where the EDIC Academy comes into the picture, and that's where we are there to help you. So I would suggest everybody to spend some 10-20,000 extra. That much money you can earn by doing extra duty. I used to do that. I spend huge amount of money for my courses, and that's where I cleared back-to-back exam. I cleared my MRCP, I cleared my EDIC in a span of 2 years back-to-back. So I did not mind spending money on the courses because it's an investment. Okay, so I'm not promoting the course, but if you ask me sincerely, it really helps, because you don't have time to think what to read and how to read. And then by the time you realize what to read and how to read, it's already last month of the exam. And then it's really difficult to finish up the course by then. So I would suggest to take the course and go ahead, start early from now itself, because 3 months is a good enough time for you to join. Okay. Yeah, somebody's asking which course join. If you are in the first academy, then definitely EDIC Academy Part 1 course is definitely, I would suggest. We do have a really great group of people as a faculty. Everybody is like, everybody give their best to clear the doubts of the students. So I would suggest the same where we are discussing. Okay. Apart from that, material, as my previous faculties, I already discussed what to read. So material is very important. Choose your material wisely and revise it again and again. I would suggest minimum 2 readings. If you are good enough, if you have time, minimum 3 readings. If you can do 3 readings, focus on solving MCQs, because reading theory won't help much. Solving MCQs is the best way to clear EDIC 1. And for EDIC 2, already we have discussed, it's a more a practical thing. It's a spontaneous thing. So we will discuss in another class about EDIC 2. But for EDIC 1, solving as many as MCQs is always beneficial. Giving as many as mock tests is always beneficial. Try to score more than 65 when you are appearing for the mock test. So the cutoff always varies between 60 to 65. Okay, so always try to score more than 65, because my junior failed by 0.5 mark in a October 2022 session. The cutoff was 57.5 and he scored 57. So EDIC can be sometimes be very unfair to many of the good candidates also. So good preparation with a good with a luck is also important. Try to score as many as marks here itself. Try to clear your concept very well. If you are solving MCQs, don't solve one MCQ. Try to rule out the other 4 options also. Why those 4 options are not the right answer. In that way, in a one question, you will able to solve 5 questions. That's the way to do it. So all the best for all the candidates to appear for the next session. If there is any doubt, I would like to clear it. And at last, I would mention Dr. Asif Iqbal sir is doing great job. He has started this academy a few years back, and it's really great help. It wasn't there when we started preparing, but you guys are really fortunate to have him around us. Okay. Any doubts? Yeah, Fatima, they are asking which course to join. So please suggest them. Okay.
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for such a fruitful speech you gave.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next faculty would be Dr. Srinivas Samavedan.
Good evening. I think most of the information that is needed for the EDIC Part 1 has already been shared, and you're all aware of what you're in for with this exam. Now, this exam does not test the extraordinary knowledge or the extraordinary information you have, but it will test you for the depth of the basic knowledge which you are expected to have at this stage. The extraordinary knowledge, the evidence-based knowledge, the extra information which you may is actually tested in the Part 2. So suppose you are talking about shock. What is the categorization of shock? What are the upstream markers? What are the downstream markers? This kind of information is tested to the depth in Part 1. What is the current evidence for the resuscitation of shock is something that is tested in Part 2. If you are looking at scoring systems, what are the advantages, disadvantages of the various scoring systems is what is tested in Part 1. If you are looking at neurology, for example, what are the different window periods for stroke? What are the different interventions for the different window periods for stroke? Subarachnoid, for example, what are the options available for you for a subarachnoid hemorrhage? So in a time-bound manner. So this depth of basic knowledge is what is tested in EDIC Part 1. And when you look at the 2 types of questions in EDIC Part 1, there are the single answer ones and the yes or no for multiple answers. So the second part where you are expected to mark yes or no for the multiple options, that is where you tend to make mistakes, because that is the actual test for your basic knowledge. So you need to have that extensive depth of basic knowledge at this stage. When you go to Part 2, you need to have extraordinary information. You need to be up to date with what was published last week when you go for the Part 2. But as the Part 1 is concerned, you need to know every single full stop and comma of the basic concepts of every aspect. And usually the distribution is in favor of hemodynamics, respiratory monitoring, antimicrobials, extracorporeal therapies, and acute kidney injury. This will constitute nearly 70% of the chunk of questions in different permutations and combinations in the exam. The remaining 30% will look at other aspects like trauma, will obstetric critical care, or other aspects. That is about 30%. But they expect an overlap. So you can have an obstetric case which is talking about cardiogenic shock. You could have a trauma case which is looking at ECMO. But the concept of this thing is 65 to 70% will focus on the 7 or 8 major organ systems. That's all I think. I mean, that's what I can add to what has already been said.
Thank you, sir. Next faculty would be Dr. Neeraj Kumar.
Good evening to all of you. And I think most of the speakers have already discussed too much about the EDIC 1 preparation. But first of all, at the outset, I will like to thank Dr. Asif for this being a course director for this and real concept behind it. And one thing that is very important in EDIC 1 is that he has bring all best teachers under one roof. And yes, because with time, all faculties has got our lectures, and with time we'll soon interact with you with our allotted lectures as well. And we will be teaching exactly how the question that has been asked in EDIC 1 as well as in EDIC 2 examination also. The most important thing that what I would like to tell you all here is be interactive in the class. If you have any doubt, because I have got few students have asked me question on my email also regarding my class and regarding their queries. But what is my thought is that you can ask question in the real time so that we can answer, or you be prompt while we are preparing for your examination. Say I have been allotted a topic for acute kidney injury, right? So I will be very happy if you all guys will be reading AKI prior to coming to this class. And the second most important things that I will be telling you here is that if you talk about like acute renal failure, right? So if the question would be like type A or type K pattern, the question will be they are just checking your basic concept. Few questions are at depth, and few questions are very basics, like what is the cutoff for your oliguria? If you and what is the difference between pre-renal and renal failure? How will you differentiate? How will you calculate fractional excretion of sodium? What would be the normal FeNO level, and what will be the urinary sodium level in cases of acute renal failure like pre-renal? So similarly, what is the osmolarity? What is the renal osmolarity? What are the various drugs that can cause acute tubular necrosis? What are the other in drugs, which antibiotics can cause nephrotoxicity? And what will the findings on rhabdomyolysis? If the patient is having a rhabdomyolysis, what will be the CKMB level? So these are the various type A or type K questions. Based on that, they can ask. So we all are ready for interacting with you all, and hoping to see you all in the coming EDIC 1 classes. I will just like to share one information with you all, that along with if you have a good number of colleagues who are preparing for EDIC course, definitely one most challenging point is to book for your EDIC 1 examination. That is very, very high, because if you'll see the EDIC dashboard, already all the seats for EDIC examination 1 has been booked. And it is very, very difficult, because globally, now you will get in 2024, in the autumn season, in the April, you will getting a date for your EDIC 1 examination. So almost all EDIC 1 examination seats are booked. So it's a good time to enroll this course, join this Forge Academy, and be a part of it. And along with it, I will like to share one important things with you all, that if you are paying for this course, definitely you are going to get benefited, because the previous students, those who have joined, they have done marvelously, and they have excelled the course. So I will not take much time, because there are a few more speakers who are left. And if you have any question, you can put your question to Forge Academy, and they can give to us, and so that we can give you a better answer. And hoping to see you soon in my first lecture. Okay, so it's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now our next faculty would be Dr. Ashutosh Kumar Garg.
Good evening, everyone. So myself, Dr. Ashutosh Garg. I'm head of the department, Kailash Deepak Hospital, Department of Critical Care, Delhi. So before the previous speakers already discussed a lot about how to prepare for EDIC 1. Even some speakers also told about how to prepare for EDIC 2 also. So I think you have a fair idea about the preparation of EDIC 1. I want to add some important things for preparation of EDIC 1. Basically, this is an exam where you get two types of questions, around 60 to 70 questions, which are A types, yani single answer questions, and rest 30 or 40 questions of K type, means true false type. In that, there are 4 or 5 options, and you have to tell for every option, whether it's a true statement or a false statement. So you have to prepare for EDIC 1 with the core knowledge of the critical care concepts. Whether it's a acute kidney injury, acute liver failure, or any emergency airway, or even in last 2 to 3 years, we have seen the changing trend that they are asking more questions about the organ support. Organ support means like LVAD, left ventricular assisted devices, or IABP, or CRRT and ECMO. So nowadays they are asking too many questions from these areas, because so many patients in ICU may require any organ support during their ICU stay. That's why they are going in details also, nitty-gritties of which type of ECMO, VA ECMO, VV ECMO, and how will you change the settings, and how will you troubleshoot the problems during patient on ECMO or CRRT. In last exam, they have asked 3 or 4 questions about the anticoagulants used in CRRT, especially citrate anticoagulation. So I'm giving you some example because so you can understand which type of questions they ask. And from the general topics, they ask about the regarding pressure source, regarding DVT prophylaxis, pulmonary embolism, and in cardiovascular, the complications of MI. So there are a lot of different areas from where they ask questions. So you have to figure out what are the high yield topics, and you have to prepare those topics thoroughly. So we will discuss in our subsequent lectures. Suppose we are discussing cardiovascular system, then we will tell you what are the high yield topics in the cardiovascular system, and how will you approach those high yield areas, high yield topics. So basically you have to read and read and read, and more and more questions regarding preparation of EDIC 1. So clarity of the concepts and mastery over the possible questions will give you edge in this exam. So that's all from my side. If you want to ask any questions, most welcome.
So thank you so much, sir. Now our next faculty would be Dr. Asif Iqbal, sir.
Good evening. Welcome to FARS Academy. We have regarding the EDIC, I think most of the faculty and the seniors mentor, they have pointed stress upon one thing. One is regarding the study. You have to have the adequate knowledge before you are going to the exam center. Because it is a costly exam, so please don't do experiment. Rather, you start early. And those who has already got the seat for this year, 2024 autumn session, then you have very few time left. So this time is needed proper guide, proper mentor. And it is also important that there are 17 domain in this exam, and there are multiple subdomain. So what are the subdomain is important. Few subdomain has already mentioned our faculty, and what type of question coming from this particular domain, subdomain, you have to know. While you are practicing MCQ, you will understand that what type of question in EDIC they ask. And in any European exam, there is a pattern. So if you understand the pattern, then it is easy to answer these things. So this recognition of pattern, our FARS Academy faculty, there are very good faculty, well enthusiast faculty, those who have already passed this exam, and they are a regular teacher. So they will give you the idea which save your time. The most important thing, the guidance is needed for the saving the time, because most of you who are appearing for the exam, everyone is working. So in your busy schedule, you have to extract extra time for the study. So this extra time, whatever you are managing, this need to be utilized properly. And I will suggest try to read every day 4 hours and at least solve 50 MCQ per day with a particular domain. And remember that you have to complete the 17 domain with this few speculated time. Fars Academy have a good number of updated question. We every year we take a question from the past student, the topic, subtopic, and the pattern of question. So our all question is very much updated, and our faculty, they also being updated with the current journal, current review literature. So they will guide you properly to save your time and to make you prepare for this exam. And as you know that A-type and K-type question in part 1, they check your depth of knowledge. The K-type question, every line has a statement, and you have to judge the statement whether it is appropriate, true or false regarding the main stem of the question. So to judge this, you have to have depth of knowledge. So this depth of knowledge will come from the study and also the discussion from your class teacher. And here we are forming the one group for continuous. We will give you 24/7 support to prepare your study. And our pattern is, our preparation pattern is like that. We have a question is nearly 2000 updated question for practice. You can practice at your sweet time. This is on the website or in the app. And there is a class every week. There is a class for the some topic and subtopic, and you will get the mock test weekly, monthly mega mock test, and debriefing session. So it is a direct, continuous external effort to make you learn and make you preparation, which is the extra support, extra force. Look, you have to practice, you have to learn, but we will make you forcefully learn. We will help you forcefully learning. So I think you join Forge Academy. Our new batches will start from this July for targeting September exam. And it is a very nominal fees we have kept because it is a non-profitable organization, and we just take fees to maintain our the system and to serve you better way. And if anytime you feel any suggestion is needed, you can call me in my number. You take my you take my office number, and Forge Academy is trying to create every week, every fortnight there is a discussion session for critical care topic and the MCQ and the doubt clearance session, a special session above the course schedule. So you join this where we will discuss about the recent article where we will discuss about the difficult question, sometime case presentation. So the lot of thing we are trying to help you out. So if you have any question, you can ask me. That's all about FARS Academy.
Thank you all.
Good night.